The number one regret when buying a new home, not the location, not the size of the home, it's the upgrades. Being able to pick out everything on your new home is why so many people are interested in building, but some of these upgrades are a trap that will cost you thousands of dollars and make it harder to sell your home down the road. I've helped hundreds of clients purchase a new build home, and just about all of them had regrets over at least one upgrade that they bought from the builder.
One upgrade my client didn't do actually saved them $50,000 too.
So in this video, I'm going to show you what the 6 main ones are, the reasons they waste so much of your money, and reveal the upgrades that are actually worth the cost. Now, before we get into the first upgrade that you should avoid, you need to understand something about how builders operate. And to show you exactly what I mean, we need to jump into my time machine and head back to 1996.
This is the story of a girl.
So in this glorious time, things were fly. We had collectible items like Beanie Babies, and you could take your floppy disk over to a friend's house and play Castle Wolfenstein without even needing a license code, I might add. But today, those things all look pretty out of place. When it comes to upgrades in your home, the builders are essentially selling you a bag of Beanie Babies because builders live in a world of trends. They grab onto things that are popular in the current world and they sell a lot of them, but if you're not careful, you'll end up with something that'll be out of style in just a few years. Whatever, I think those Beanie Babies are gonna be worth something someday. So what's the first trend that you should avoid? Well, this is something that the builders all jump on when it became available, and I see a lot of people spending money on it, which is a huge mistake. And it's really not anything new, it's just kind of evolved over the years. So if you were to look at an older house with this big box on the side when you walk in, you probably have no idea what that thing even is. But for a while, everybody was installing it. And the same goes for those weird cubes that hang down from the ceiling. That's actually an old security system, which is still something that a lot of people want, but they don't want these old versions of it. Nowadays, everyone is using wireless options like Ring or Simply Safe, but the builders are still selling a ton of tech items that are built into the home, and this is the first upgrade that you should really avoid. Technology moves way too fast to risk building something permanently into your home, and whatever you install now will be obsolete in 5 to 10 years. And those block cube speakers in the wall, well, yeah, they've updated them a little bit, but you're still gonna have to purchase a receiver, which nowadays you can just hook up Alexa in all of your rooms and have the same thing playing at once. So there's no need for hardwired speakers in your home. But tech isn't the only thing to change fast. Design trends also fade away quickly, including one that affects my own home. Now this one's really tricky because there's no way to constantly stay ahead of the curve. There really isn't a look that everybody loves, but for years, a ton of buyers wanted the HGTV approved interior color scheme, which meant a lot of white walls, gray floors, grayish everything that looked really fresh and modern. But now instead of wanting the white on white kitchen, a lot of my clients think that look is cold and bland. So you're starting to see a lot more deep greens, rich browns, and earthy terracottas in the design choices. But these have a limited shelf life too. Now this is the second big thing that a ton of buyers regret, and that's chasing down these design trends. I've seen people dump tens of thousands of dollars extra for color choices, cabinet options that they've seen a million times on social media, but then a few years later, they're no longer in style. Most of them wish they'd gone with the more timeless options like natural wood tones that would have saved them a ton of money and a lot of headaches from trying to always be on the cutting edge of what's new and trendy. Now, if you're in love with that modern look and you're going that way, you can still do it because, hey, that's something that's pretty easy to change after a few years if you want to try something different. A little paint on the wall, paint on the cabinets, hey, easy change. But there are a few things that the builder has you backed into a corner on, and if you want these, it makes sense to just pay for the upgrades up front. Now, the first is anything structural. Now, moving walls or expanding exterior doors is pretty expensive, and you're better off just having the builder make it that way from the start. Same goes for upgraded counters or cabinets. But outside of those, you should be able to save a lot of money on things you'll see in the model home if you just hire them out yourself after you close. For example, something that everyone notices when they walk into a kitchen is the gorgeous backsplash. But doing this through the builder is really expensive. If you have this installed on your own, you'll save a lot of money and you'll have way more choices because the builder's selection is pretty limited. And if you want to go even more custom, you'd be amazed at how much it costs to have these fancy moldings and the trim detailed installed. And that's another easy DIY project you can do yourself or hire out after close for a lot less. Don't waste your money on having the builder do two-tone paint or the designer color for the walls either. If you do all these projects after closing, you can easily do it for half the cost, and the quality you'll get outside of the builder is usually better too. But believe it or not, all of these projects combined won't save you as much as this next one. This is the fourth thing you should never buy from the builder. And while this won't work for everyone, I had a buyer save $50,000 by doing it themselves after they closed. That's right, $50,000. Imagine what you could do with that. Now, one thing you'll never hear somebody say when they're picking out their options is, I wish this home had more carpet. But that's exactly what my buyers did, and it's how they saved so much money. Let me explain. All of these homes are going to come with a ton of carpet throughout the home as the base option because the builder knows that nobody really wants this and will have to pay a lot to have hard surfaces everywhere except for the bedrooms. Because sometimes people can get carpeting in the bedrooms and be okay with that. But this option to get all these hard surfaces is at least $20,000 at a minimum, and for these particular clients, it was going to cost them $80,000 to have tile where they wanted it installed throughout the home. So they decided to just take the base flooring option, keep that 80 grand, and the day after closing, they had a crew come in, rip out all the flooring, and install an even better grade of tile for just $30,000. So 80 minus 30, $50,000 saved. Now I know what you're thinking, and one question I get asked all the time is, can I just have the builder not put in any flooring so I don't have to demo all the basic stuff? But unfortunately, they can't get a certificate of occupancy from the city if there's no flooring, so they do have to install a base tile and carpet. This one can be tough if you need to get in the house right away, but if you can wait a week or two, this will be the area where you can save the most money. Now, even though doing your own flooring can give you the most bang for your buck, we still haven't gone over the one upgrade that will get you an abysmal negative 20% ROI, meaning that you'll only recoup 1/5 of what you put into it when you go to sell it. But before I share that with you, there's something else that can be a huge waste of money, and you'll never get this back when you go to sell. And it's something that everybody wants. Buyers will pay a huge premium for this, and they usually get really mad if they don't get it, and sometimes they won't even move into the community. It's a huge money maker for builders, but it's also the fifth thing that I wouldn't pay to upgrade. In fact, some recent clients I worked with were blindsided by this when we visited a community. We went to look at this particular lot that had everything they wanted. It was on a cul-de-sac that was on the edge of the community, and the view off the back was jaw-dropping looking at this mountain range nearby. This lot was also about twice the size of all the other ones in the development, and my clients were nearly brought to tears thinking about all the ways that they can make this their perfect home. But unfortunately, those tears of joy quickly became ones of sadness when we went into the sales office and discovered that the cost of this particular lot was $200,000. That's a really expensive piece of dirt. And a lot of the builders will only work with buyers who are either paying cash or putting down a huge amount of money because they know that these homes with these giant lot premiums aren't going to come anywhere close to appraising for what they sell the house for. Now, I totally get it. For some people, a premium lot with an incredible view is worth the money. And a great lot does get you a little bit more when you go to sell it. Just don't expect to get more than about 10% of that $200,000 back. But there's another thing that people can dump a lot of extra money into that gets you nothing back in added value. This upgrade is one that a lot of people have no idea carries an added cost, and depending on which lot you choose, you might even be forced into picking one of the more expensive options because the city or the builder doesn't want a cookie cutter looking neighborhood. And the way they enforce this is by having a redundancy rule, where homes that are side by side and sometimes even across the street from each other really need to have different appearances. The exterior finish of a home is what is called the elevation, and some builders will charge upwards of $50,000 for their premium option. There goes the entire tile budget that you were going to save. But this is the sixth thing you should never pay to upgrade. If you absolutely hate the base elevation, which is usually called Spanish style, then pick the one that's the next level up. But it's a huge waste of money to buy the premium look, which is usually nothing more than some cheap stone veneers and a few decorative shutters. And yes, some of them might have a front porch or add a little bling to the front of it, but you're never going to get that money back. So if you avoid all these 6 upgrades, save all that money, what should you do with the savings? Well, what if you spent some of that on what's behind the house? These homes all come with just a blank piece of dirt in the backyard, so you'll have to spend some money here anyways. And just about everybody wants to include a pool. More buyers than not will avoid homes that don't have pools. Because here's the real surprise. The cost of a decent pool and backyard setup it can start around $60,000 and easily go into the six figures. But unlike brick trim or faux shutters, your backyard is something that you're actually going to use. This is Arizona. A pool isn't just a luxury, it's survival. Fire pits, pavers, turf, built-in barbecues, these aren't just extras, they're a part of how people live out here. It's where you'll have birthday parties, you'll watch sunsets, you'll survive summer afternoons. But be warned, a backyard pool typically only fetches about $20,000 to $30,000 on an appraisal when you go to sell. If the backyard's a bit more dressed up, you might be able to fetch another $15,000. But there are things beyond just a pool that are a must-have when you live in Arizona, and these things will also add a ton of value to your home. So you should watch this video next where I'll show you the upgrades you'll regret not getting if you're building a home.